Hello and welcome to Cypherpunk Sunday. I am your host, Dr. Michael Tabone, and every Sunday we're going to be talking about the cypherpunk philosophy. We're going to feature a cypherpunk and talk about more in depth what they gave to the Bitcoin revolution and what they helped to contribute to that. And if you understand Bitcoin, you must understand the cypherpunks, because without them, Bitcoin would not exist. And if we ever forget them, we risk losing the very essence of what makes Bitcoin revolutionary. Cypherpunks were not politicians, not bankers, and not regulators. They were mathematicians, cryptographers, computer scientists, and freedom advocates. They foresaw a future where technology could be weaponized against personal liberty, where governments and corporations could seek to monitor, control, and dictate every aspect of human interaction, including money. Which is very interesting because the Department of Justice just came out and said that your money is not your property. It's like the cypherpunks were onto something. They understood something fundamental. Digital age privacy is not given, it must be engineered. They recognize that true financial sovereignty does not exist under a system where intermediaries hold the keys to your wealth and where monetary policy is dictated by bureaucrats rather than immutable code. The cypherpunk movement, which emerged in the late 1980s and 90s, was built on a simple but powerful philosophy that cryptography, specifically strong encryption, could be used to create systems of autonomous resistance. They were not theorists. They were builders. They wrote the code that laid the foundation for anonymous communication, digital signatures, and ultimately Bitcoin itself. Names like David Chaum, Timothy May, Hal Finney, Adam Back, Wei Dai, and Nick Szabo should never be forgotten. Their writings, their code, and their relentless pursuit of digital freedom paved the way for the creation of Bitcoin. Satoshi Nakamoto, the synonymous creator of Bitcoin, did not build in a vacuum. Bitcoin stands on the shoulders of decades of cryptographic research and a movement that sought to challenge centralized control of information and finance. When Satoshi announced Bitcoin in 2008, he did so in the Cypherpunk mailing list, a clear signal that this was not just another financial experiment, it was a revolution. Today, as governments around the world move to tighten control over financial transactions, as central bank digital currencies loom on the horizon, and as privacy becomes increasingly scarce, we must remember why Bitcoin was created. It was never just about investment. It was never just about making money. It was about reclaiming control over money itself. Cypherpunks understood the technology is neither good nor bad. It is a tool. And if we do not fight to build and protect systems that uphold freedom, those same systems will be used to enslave us. And I actually have a cypherpunk with us today. Now, I don't know his origin story. I didn't get a chance to interview him. He sent me in this little clip, and hopefully I'll get a chance to interview him soon. I'd like to introduce you to Bitcoin Bastiat.
You wouldn't be here without them. None of us would. And if you ever forget that, you don't deserve Bitcoin. The cypherpunks weren't just some nerds writing code. They were warriors, rebels, visionaries. They saw the future before it happened and knew what had to be done. While the rest of the world was sleepwalking into surveillance and financial slavery, they were building the tools to resist. They knew governments wouldn't voluntarily give up control. They knew banks wouldn't stop inflating the money supply. They knew the only way out was to build a system they couldn't stop. A system that didn't ask permission. A system that obeyed math, not men. And they paid the price. Some were harassed. Some were arrested. Some had their lives destroyed, but they never stopped. They wrote code. They built the networks. They fought for your right to transact freely. And most of the world has no idea who they are. Bitcoin is their legacy, and it's your responsibility to defend it. Every time you stack sats, every time you run a node, every time you educate someone on self-custody, you honor them. You carry the torch they lit decades ago. Because if we forget them, if we let Bitcoin get captured, if we let the system co-opt what they built, then we don't deserve to call ourselves Bitcoiners. Never forget the Cypherpunks. Never forget why we fight. Bitcoin or slavery. Choose wisely.
Thank you, Bitcoin Bastiat, for telling us why we should remember them, and then and that why we must honor their legacy, not with empty words, but with action, by running our own nodes, by holding our own private keys, and by defending Bitcoin from capture. We must educate the next generation on why financial sovereignty matters. My closing call to action to you is history will remember those who stood for freedom when it was most at risk. The Cypherpunks did their part. Now it is up for us to do ours. Thank you very much. I hope that you will subscribe to the channel and watch for future videos in Cypherpunk Sundays, as well as other videos we're going to have throughout the week. Bye-bye, and bye Bitcoin.